Good evening, everybody. Welcome to seminar. I'm Jonathan Wilder. On the schedule today are CBMS exam questions under the theme of internal medicine. Now that the agenda is covered, let's get started with a pronunciation exercise. So, the first word is admission. Seizure. Seizure. Epileptic. Epileptic. Elevated. Elevated. So for the first word, admission, the meaning is the process or fact of entering or being allowed to enter a place such as a hospital. Seizure is a sudden attack of illness, especially a stroke or an epileptic fit. Elevated means higher or greater than normal. Move on to the second group. First word is disorientated. Disorientated. Bruising. Bruising. Injury. Injury. Thrombo. Thrombo. The meaning of cyto means hollow. For example, as in a cell or a container. Examples of these words, this suffix in use is leukocyte and lymphocyte. And purpura simply means purple. Inter, for example, it means between. For example, intermittent and international and internet. And finally, mit means to send, as in intermittent, transmit, and admit. That's it for the vocabulary. I'd like to ask you now to go to page 8 of the homework materials you were sent before the seminar. If you have it printed, please have a pen or pencil ready. You're going to listen to the conversation between a doctor and a nurse, and you'll have 45 seconds to answer the 3 questions.
Following short conversation is between a doctor and a nurse.
This patient is a visiting tourist who has had a seizure and is not speaking. She has a fever of 38 degrees, elevated heart rate.
Medical history? Do we have anything?
We have no data, but the friend said she has been taking medicine every day for the last 2 weeks.
Let's run a kidney function test and do blood screens. Thrombocytopenic purpura, TTP, a clotting disorder. The tablets are very likely to be steroids. We will need some plasma for an exchange.
Let's first take a look at the script. As you can see, the script is color-coded. Subjects are in yellow, the verbs are in purple, and the objects and the complements are in green, and the conjunctions are in blue. I'll read just the key words. Please follow along with me, noting the words that I don't read. This way you can get 100% understanding. Patient is tourist. Tourist has had a seizure and is not speaking. She has a fever, elevated heart rate, red spots. How is she before the seizure? She'd been feeling disoriented. She also had nosebleed. Do we have medical history? We have no data, but she has been taking medicine every day. So, I just read the key words, and I think that if you were reading along with me, you will be able to see the other words and notice the relationship of the other words with the key words to get a higher understanding of the dialogue. So let's move on to the review of the questions. These questions are also color-coded. First question, what was the patient's condition on admission to the hospital? In this question, basically, you need to understand the whole patient's condition. So from the red part, we can see there was no, these are things that were not mentioned or that are not true. So she had eye pain is false. She had a black eye is false. She had a full medical history is false. And she could have a seizure, which indicates the future, is not true. So let's check your understanding by moving on to a quick true or false response exercise based on the same dialogue. While I read aloud the 8 questions, please mark true or false. Number 1. The patient's partner is a tour operator. True or false? Please write it down. Number 2. The patient has a bloody nose and is not speaking. Number 3. The hospital staff know what medication the patient was taking. Number 4. Her teeth appear to be weaker than those in others of her age. Okay, let's quickly review the answers. Number 1, the patient's partner is a tour operator. That's false. Both the patient and partner are tourists. Number 2, the patient has a bloody nose and is not speaking. That's false. She had a nosebleed. Question was, the patient has a bloody nose. It's false. She had a nosebleed. Number 3, the hospital staff know what medication the patient was taking. That's false. The staff don't know. Number 4, her teeth appear to be weaker than those in others of her age. That's true. Beck said, surprisingly weak teeth for someone of middle age. Okay, moving along to the sample exam reading questions, which 76, question 76, the answer is C, prior to. The learning point here is that it's always prior to plus noun plus sentence, or a sentence plus prior to plus noun. For example, prior to the operation, the surgeon will speak to the family, or the surgeon will speak to the family prior to the operation. So, although you can reverse it, the pattern is still the same. Question 78, the correct answer is prescribe. I will prescribe some painkillers to get rid of your present pain. So the point here is that you have to choose between 4 words that have the same ending scribe. And what we learned from the vocabulary is that scribe means right. So the prefixes, let's quickly go over them. D in describe means down or write down or give the details. Sub means under, and you sign your name at the bottom of an agreement to receive something regularly. And pre, which means before, so that literally means to write before. Doctors write instructions or prescriptions before patients start treatment. And in, well, that means in. All right, to finish up, let's do a quick quiz. Please look at the screen. The quiz appears here only, not in your homework. And what we have is a junior high school exercise here of matching the words with the blanks. So as you can see, the first word does not fit into the first blank. You need to find the correct one. Let's take a look at the correct answers. I subscribe to several print magazines, a newspaper, and numerous email newsletters. Number 2, the couple's name and wedding date were inscribed on the inside of the rings. Please be sure to get the correct form there. And number 3, can you describe your symptoms? Well, that's the end of part 1. Let's take a 1-minute break. Please stand up and stretch before we begin part 2.